What's up, everybody? Ron Harris here, MD Online Editor, here to talk about exciting new pro, our newest IPB Pro League pro. He is super heavyweight and overall North American champion Nick Walker out of New Jersey. Just won the North American very decisively. He was the favorite going in. Obviously, to look at him, he looks like a pro. And I always feel like if you're going to be a successful pro bodybuilder, you should look like a successful pro bodybuilder when you turn pro. And if you think back to, I'm gonna have to go way back, obviously, but guys like Kevin Levrone, Flex Wheeler, Chris Cormier, most of these guys turned pro and then immediately went into the pro shows and started doing very well. Both Flex Wheeler and Kevin Levrone were second place in their rookie year at the Mr. Olympia contest, which is unheard of. You're probably never going to see that happen again. A rookie in his first season as a pro doing that well, second place at the Olympia. Nick Walker, he did express, even before the show, I did an interview with him right here, you can find it on this channel, that he wanted to go for the trifecta, which would be win the North American, check, he did that. Win the Chicago Pro, happening October 17th in Atlanta, Georgia, yet to be determined, we'll see if that happens. Followed up by the Olympia. Didn't say how he planned to do it at the Olympia, but that would be the Open, the Mr. Olympia, where he'd be up against Phil Heath, Brandon Curry, Rolly Winkler, William Bonac, Hadi Chupan, Flex Lewis. Obviously, it's going to be a very, very tough lineup at the Olympia, as it should be. The Olympia is supposed to be our Super Bowl, and it's meant to be the best bodybuilder in the world. Whoever wins the Mr. Olympia, that's who's the best bodybuilder in the world. I'm going to update this videos. Yeah, want to hear from you guys. What do you think? Yeah. First of all, can he win the? Turn down the volume on that. So I'm trying to get your questions here, your comments in here. Big support from Croatia. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Yeah, do you guys think Nick Walker, based on the best photos of him, I'm going to hype them up here. NPC News Online just put up yesterday, I believe it was, all the photos of Nick from the IPB North American. So give them a look over. He's not lacking anything. He's got plenty of size. He's got really good shape. It's just a matter of condition. The condition that he won the North American in, he's probably going to need to be sharper than that. But you know what? He's got 5 weeks. 5 weeks from now until Chicago Pro to tighten up. Who's going to be in Chicago? Yeah. I think you should have done the California. I should mention Brandon Curry before mentioning Phil Heath. Yeah, I'm not. Brandon Curry could absolutely repeat and win the Mr. Olympia again. It was it's the fact. It was just who came to popped into my head first, guys. It wasn't a dig against Brandon. Brandon is certainly going to give Phil Heath a hell of a run. Phil Heath at his best. You can't take anything away from Phil Heath, though. Phil Heath is an amazing bodybuilder. If his midsection is under control, doesn't have any issues with that, it's going to be tough for Brandon. Brandon's going to be tough for Phil. Brandon's going to be bigger and better than ever. I mean, he's put on some good size since last year's Olympia. I think he would have won the New York Pro. I don't know if he would have won the New York Pro. I mean, New York Pro, let's look at the top 10 there. Ian Valliere, Justin Rodriguez was no joke. Jonathan De La Rosa, Hassan Mustafa. Hassan actually has a very similar physique to Nick. Would not have won New York Pro. Because all the Chicago, you have Regan Grimes. Yeah, Regan's doing Chicago. Antoine, Patrick Moore, Big Ramy. I don't know about Big Ramy. Do we have any confirmation on Ramy? I haven't heard anything as far as Ramy. I assumed Ramy was going to do the show in Alicante, Spain. It'd be a lot closer than coming to the U.S. But Ramy still has to do a show. He has to qualify somewhere. So he doesn't have many options left. All he's got left are California Pro this weekend, which he's not on the lineup for that, on the list. He could do Chicago Pro, or he could do the Spain show, and that's it. Those are the only shows left to qualify. Next Strength Power, don't know, only rumors. Yeah, I mean, we want these guys to do all the shows that we'd like them to do, but ultimately it's up to them. What else we got for Yeah, I'm not totally confident, guys, that this Europa Pro in Spain show is going to happen. I don't mean to be a negative Nancy or Debbie Downer, but cases are spiking in Spain, and it's not up to the promoters whether these shows are going to happen or not. Not at all, as we've learned. Obviously, the promoters, this is their livelihood. They want these shows to go on. They want to make money. They want to put the show on. Cali Pro is going to have a pay-per-view live stream. Yes. Yes. If you go to ifbbpro.com, upcoming events, you can click on, there's a big banner for that on the homepage. Click on that, you'll get all the info for that. We are going to do a live play-by-play on Muscular Development. I'll be looking at the live stream on one screen, the pay-per-view live stream, and commenting on Muscular Development at the same time. Spain, yeah, Spain is in a horrible situation, so I know it's a few weeks away still, the Spain show. If the situation is bad with COVID cases, they will certainly shut down public events, for safety reasons. It's, we always want the show to go on, but, the priority for the governments, for the local and national governments is keep people alive, keep cases from spreading, keep the virus contained. This is literally life and death. I know COVID's only killing a very small percentage of the people who contract it, but what's one human life worth? What's a few thousand? What's 10,000? What are 100,000 human lives worth? In the U.S. we're over 100,000, right? Yeah, something like that. What else we got? Spain, cool, me too. Yeah, Chicago. Chicago should have a very decent lineup. We don't know who's good. Everyone should buy our FU masks to keep safe. That's right, Jen. Jen makes a good point. It turns out, as we know, surprised New York didn't have top 3 qualify. They're not trying to have like 30 guys in the Olympia, 40 guys in the Olympia. It's an elite show. I know we didn't have a lot of contests. A lot of contests were canceled, but I don't think they should water it down. They were extending top 3 to the Europa Pro show, which makes sense because a lot of them couldn't get over here. Should we have more to give away in Chicago? Yeah, absolutely, Jen. Jen, I didn't give any. Steve Weinberger wasn't there, so I couldn't give him one. Tim Gardner, I didn't give one. I gave one to Bo Lewis. I gave one to Patrick Moore. Yeah, I'd like to. Jen, hook me up. I'd like to give some to the pros that I know, the ones that express an interest in it, that say, "Hey, that's a cool mask." Yeah, because Patrick Moore walks around with our mask. That's good for us, right? Bo Lewis, come on now. He's a rising star in the 212. Why not? What else we want to talk about? Yeah, it's not. Hassan was not in the best condition. Hassan is a freak. When the judging started, I initially thought Hassan Mustafa, we're talking about the New York Pro now, I was just there a couple days ago in Florida. I thought Hassan was in it for the win. I thought he was pushing Ian, I thought he was pushing De La Rosa, Justin Rodriguez, but as it went on, what did she say Hassan was? Yeah, he's a massive guy. I did notice, and especially talking to Milos about it, because I said, I asked Milos, what do you think? And it's a structural thing with him. He is a little bit blocky. He's actually narrow in the clavicles in the same way that Phil Heath is. You wouldn't know it because he's packed so much muscle, so much shoulder mass on top of those clavicles. But if you see him hit certain poses, his front relax, you see he's actually kind of narrow structurally. Like I said, he built up a lot of deltoid mass on top of those clavicles. And I shouldn't say he has narrow clavicles. They're not narrow, they're average. And we're talking about guys like, Ian's clavicles are out to here. Justin Rodriguez has very wide clavicles. Max Charles, super wide clavicles. Patrick Moore's clavicles are like, 4 feet apart. So structure counts, and it's bone structure. I know it's nothing you can do about it. It's genetic. It's what you're born with. But that's one thing that hurt him. I think that makes him look a little bit blocky. And condition was good. I think his condition could have been better, especially at the finals. A lot of guys sharpen up for the finals. Hassan looked better at the judging. I thought he was a little blurrier. I don't know if he spilled over. I don't really know what happened to him. Can't different countries pay different prices? Is It's not $200 to watch. It's $20. No, it can't be $200. It's not $200 for the pay-per-view, guys. I would have to check. I mean, I'm going to be watching it, but it's not. It's probably it's $20. Yeah, you added a zero on there. Nobody's paying $200 to watch any pay-per-view. I mean, even like the UFC and all that, and it's like, yeah, no one's charging that much because no one's going to pay that much these days. Hassan, yeah, $20, Jen. Someone said I kind of feel bad. Ryan Choppa said I kind of feel bad for Ian. He's getting so much heat. You know, winners of shows almost always get heat, unless it's do I see Olympia moving to Tampa? They're really dead set on keeping it in Las Vegas. The only thing that could change that situation is if restrictions don't lift. I would have to check, but as of a few days ago, the Planet Hollywood Hotel was not yet open. You know where I'd like to see it? Justin's Delt's a little suspicious. I don't know in his case, but yeah, a lot of these guys, they put their regular gear in there. Some of them put Synthol in there. I don't know, yeah, I mean, the first Mr. Olympia contest I went to was 1991, where Lee Haney won his 8th title and retired. Dorian Yates, that was his Olympia debut. He took 2nd. And it was in Orlando, Florida. It was at the Walt Disney World Dolphin Hotel. They had a big meeting room or whatever, banquet hall. I don't know what it was, but it was a nice setup. I enjoyed it. I mean, it's Disney. Obviously, a selling point would be, just like Vegas, there's plenty to do in Las Vegas. If the Olympia got moved to Orlando, I'm not saying it's going to, but if it did, you're already in Orlando. You could go to Disney, go to MGM, Universal. There's a lot of stuff to do in Orlando. So yeah, why not? I mean, I wouldn't be upset if it moved there. Yeah, as far as Ian winning in the so-called controversy, there's always controversy whenever anybody wins, unless it was a super weak show and it was just an overwhelming win for whoever won. If it's a tough show where you have a lot of, at least a few really good guys in that top 5, these guys are so good, you could always make a case. You could probably make a case all the way down to 5th place at a lot of shows for that guy should have won, the 4th place guy should have won, the 3rd place guy should have won. Judging it's tough, man. I would never want to be a IPB Pro League judge. You can't win. You can't win because whoever you pick to win, 2nd place or 3rd place guy is going to have a very good physique. Also, he's going to have a lot of fans who fully want him to win and expect him to win, and they will overlook whatever flaws their guy might have, and point out the flaws of whoever beat their guy. It's a tough situation, man. It's tough. In my opinion, Ian deserved it. He was most complete. Yeah, there were some boos when he won it. Justin Rodriguez looked really, really good. He's got a prettier shape than Ian for sure. And he was a big dude. Ian, in my mind, was a more massive guy. He was in shape. I don't know, guys. It's tough. Hey, George Sulatos, MD, Dr. T. So let me do the math here and see how late it is. It is 11:15 over in Athens, Greece. Go to bed, doctor. Go to bed. Yeah, I mean, it's funny. We were doing the play-by-play in New York, and I always give props to the Europeans who stay up, because depending on where you are in Europe, they're anywhere from 5 to 8 hours ahead of East Coast time here in the USA. So, geez, that thing wrapped up at 9:30. Geez, I want to say it was almost 10 o'clock at night when it wrapped up. We'll take Visa. Yeah, Dr. George. So, geez, do the math. If it was 9:30, that means it was 2:30 in the morning for these guys, and some of these guys in Europe. Or that's just the UK. If you keep moving east, it's even later. I think for like AJ in Norway, I think Norway is 7 hours ahead. So it was about 4:30 in the morning for him. Actually, I think he dropped off after the judging. I don't think he was commenting in the finals. But do I think the foreigners will take the visa? Charles passed out at 9 p.m. our time. Well, that's 2 a.m. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty worthless at 2 a.m. I'm an old man. Come on now. Well, George, there was a memo or there was a posting that went out to all qualified Olympia athletes to contact the IPB Pro League, and they figured out a way to get these guys in. I mean, they are professional athletes. This is their job, so they are coming here to work. So there must be some sort of work visa exemption, something where they can get these guys into Las Vegas, into the USA, and into Vegas for the show. I don't know exactly how they're doing it. It's the State Department, Homeland Security, but somebody in the Olympia Committee, if not a few people, have been working very, very hard with authorities, whatever authorities need to be worked with in this case. They're going to get these guys here for the Olympia, which is great because the Olympia without people from outside the USA and Canada would be very, very watered down Olympia. I mean, can you imagine Olympia with no William Bonac, no Hadi Choopan, no Rolly Winkler, Nathan DeAsha? There's a lot of a lot of the best, very best bodybuilders in the world. You go through all the other divisions. A lot of the very best in the world, they're not residing in America. They would not normally be able to get here for that. It would be a very, very incomplete Olympia, watered down and incomplete without the athletes from outside the U.S. We need them in the Olympia. We need all the best competitors, all the best athletes for the Olympia to really be what it's meant to be, which is a world championship to determine the best bodybuilder, open, 212, classic physique. If you want to say this is the best in the world, it's got to encompass. What else we got going on, guys? You were falling asleep watching a live stream? Yeah. I had Ian winning, not supervincial. Yeah, I think Nick Walker with a little bit tighter condition. Is there a beef brewing between Ian Milos and Cormier? Not that I'm aware of, but I stay out of a lot of that stuff. It's just the gossip, the beefs, the he said, she said. I know that's how I would probably do a lot better here on YouTube in terms of views and clicks and all that crap if I focused more on the controversy and who's mad at who and who talks shit about who. But clickbait crap, Jen says, and yeah, I'm in agreement with her. It's like, do you sell out? Do you do that? There are channels. There's a channel, I won't say his name, and I don't have anything personally against him. He's killing it on YouTube, but a lot of his videos are the steroid cycles of this pro, or more often than not, this celebrity, this actor, this musician. Based on how they look, he tries to tell you what he thinks they're taking, and people eat that up because they want to know, oh boy, what drugs is what's that kid from Zac Efron? What's Zac Efron's steroid stack? What's The Rock's steroid stack? Yeah, it's interesting to speculate on that stuff. But I would never do that. I mean, I don't know what these guys take. Honestly, I don't even know what the pros, except for a few who I've talked to, and I would never repeat what they've said to me. I would never make videos about what the pros take. And can you tell mine? Max is great, but not winning the Olympia. No, Max Charles. I respectfully disagree with Milos. He was talking about Max, and he thinks Max could be Mr. Olympia. I don't know. Max has a really good physique. I don't see him ever winning the Olympia. The Olympia is only, how many guys have won the Olympia? Was it 15 ever? Yeah, he needs, who's that? Nick Strength and Power. Nick, I love you, Nick. You're a good kid, man. Nick's, you're killing it on YouTube. I got to give you your props, guy. You're killing it. And, yes, Jen, that is the Nick, unless someone hacked his account. But, yeah. I don't know. I couldn't do what Nick does. He's so good at what he does with those videos. Where can you find the lineup for the New York Pro? Well, the show's over. So, is Evan Senapani going to Chicago? That's a good question. Man, I hope he is. Did Ian deserve to win with that midsection that was almost invisible? Meaning like he doesn't have a strong abdominal wall? Ronnie Coleman won 8 Olympias with a very shallow midsection. Ronnie's abs were never very good. His calves were never very good. Everything else was so good. it's not a body part contest. You know, you can pick apart every guy. There's nobody with a perfectly complete physique. Nobody. You could find a flaw with anybody. He was the best guy. He was the best guy on stage that day, as determined by the judges. I didn't have a tremendous argument with him winning. I thought he was good enough to win. None of these guys blew him away. It's not politics, Gil. It's a subjective sport. This is not a sport in the sense of baseball, football, basketball, where it's how many time which team gets more balls through the basket or gets the ball over the end zone more times. And even then, you know, sometimes there are controversial referee calls in those other sports, but bodybuilding, it's more like a beauty pageant with muscles. It's a muscle beauty pageant. That's really what it is if you boil it down. You have a panel of judges judging physiques in front of them. It's all visual. You know, it's funny how some guys they harp on, you know, this guy squats this much, or this guy benches this. Well, that's powerlifting. It doesn't matter. It's all based on what the judges are looking at. They're looking for shape, structure, size, conditioning, balance. They're looking for the best total package. It's not always going to be the biggest guy. It's not always going to be the most conditioned guy. It's not always going to be the guy with the best shape. It's who has the best of all those things in one. Did I see Milos and Ian going at it last night on Instagram? I did not. Wow. Yeah, I know. You know, Milos thought Max should have won. He admits he's a little biased. He is. Yeah, Frank Zane was a $180. Yeah, 5'9". That wouldn't fly these days. I don't even know if Frank Zane would fly in classic, to be honest with you. You know, he was amazing in his era. He had a beautiful physique. He had some really, really good compulsory poses. Yeah, his front lat spread is killer. His side chest is killer. Back double bicep killer. Rear lat spread, yeah. You know, if you could say he has one weak pose or whatever, that doesn't mean he shouldn't win the show. Antoine looked good. Hope he can improve his posing and overall look. You know, I think Antoine, I have to actually speak with him very soon for a Ron line. As soon as he gets in Vegas for the show, we're supposed to get going on that. But I think Ian flattened out, particularly in the upper body. Yeah, he was really flat. Because you know we follow him. If you follow him on Instagram and YouTube and all that, just a few days, a week before the show, he was looking a lot bigger and fuller, and condition was pretty much the same. I saw him at the check-ins briefly. He was in and out. They were getting people all. Anything special if you hit 1 million subs. Yeah, Antoine was not looking well. He was sweating profusely. Something was going on. I'll find out what it was, but I'm sure that had something to do with him not looking as good as he should have looked. I live in Vegas. Will they allow an audience? You tell me. Raymond, Johannes, tell me, are there concerts going on? Are there shows going on? Tell me that. If they're not having those, then I don't know if there's going to be an audience allowed for Olympia, because it's a city ordinance. It's the state, it's the city. It's, you know, it's not up to promoters. No shows. Yeah, if you can't go see performances in Las Vegas, which obviously a lot of people go there for the shows, the Cirque du Soleil and all that stuff. I don't even know what the big shows are. Ian can for sure. Yeah, I'd like to give away my '77 Corvette. Ah, wow, okay. Wow, that's very nice. That's very generous of you, Nick. But you have a few Corvettes. How many Corvettes you got now, Nick? 2 or 3, something like that. But I mean, you know, that's for you to give away a car. That's amazing. You know, you'd be like the Oprah Winfrey of bodybuilding. Geez. You know, usually you have to win. You know, the Arnold Classic used to give away a Hummer for a long time. The Wings of Strength Rising Phoenix show, Jake Wood show, that still gives away for the winner, the women's bodybuilding winner, still gives away a really nice car, fully decked out Jeeps, Dodge Chargers. Jake's giving away some really nice vehicles as part of the prize package for the Rising Phoenix Wings of Strength show. But I'm curious because now that they brought the Ms. Olympia back, I don't know if they're still going to do all that. Yeah, I'm not really sure. Yeah, I'd like a car too, LOL. Who wouldn't like a free, awesome sports car, right? That'd be, you know who used to give away a lot of cars back in the day was Bill Phillips with the EAS company. That was like one of every time they had a transformation contest, with the supplement company EAS, so the Muscle Media 2000 magazine. There was always a cool. I think Bill would give away like his cars, but he was giving away like Ferraris. That was back in the 90s, man. Those supplement companies were killing it in the 90s, like Muscle Tech, EAS. That is huge. I'll be entering that contest. Yeah. Marty would be waxing every day. Yeah, I mean, you got a car like that, you want to take care of it. 77. Did that Corvette have a special name? Stingray was that the Stingray? What year was the Corvette Stingray? I thought it was 77 or 78. I'm not a car guy. I don't know all that stuff. Yeah. Yeah, the ring thing, you just made a good point. Balkan knife. Tom Platz always had a couple Corvettes. He was definitely a Corvette guy. I think he had a collection of them. I don't know if he still does, but I know back in his prime when he was like guest posing and doing all that stuff, and he was. I want to say I saw him with 2 or 3 Corvettes. Stingray was one of them. Anybody know what year the Stingray was? So I think Patrick Amore could be Mr. Olympia one day. Yes, he's going to have to put on a lot more size. He's got long limbs. He's a taller guy. He's about 6 foot. He's got really long arms and legs. He's not filled out yet. He's not done. He still needs more size. Patrick knows I love him. I fully support him, encourage him. I think he's an excellent bodybuilder. He's improving all the time. He is making those improvements. He is filling out and putting on more mass as he needs to. Will he be Mr. Olympia? I'll tell you, man, Sean Ray should have been Mr. Olympia. Kevin Levrone should have been Mr. Olympia. Flex Wheeler, for God's sake, should have been Mr. Olympia. None of those guys won the Olympia, so you can't really say that about anybody, He isn't young. Patrick isn't young. He's 36, I think, but he's young in the game. He's young in the sport. He hasn't been competing that long. A lot of these guys, his age, 36, they've been competing since they were 16, 17, 18 years old. But Patrick's, he's still fairly new to it all. He's still growing. He's still making improvements, We talk about age, but what's more important in bodybuilding isn't so much age as training age. How long have you been training? Because the longer you've been training, probably the closer you are to your ultimate potential. The longer you've been training and using gear, I got to be real with you guys. If you've been training and using gear, let's say you've been training for 20 years. It sounds like a long time to you guys, but it's not to me. I've been training for like almost 37 years now. Yeah, I'll be 51 in a couple weeks, guys. Can't tell, right? Not in this crappy lighting. But if you've been blasting gear and training hard for even 10 years, to me that's not a long time. But that, I know to a lot of you guys, you're like, oh my God, 10 years, that's a long time. You're probably pretty close to being as big as you're ever going to be. Still at 30? Oh, thank you, Jen. Your check's in the mail. No, but I mean, there's a limit to how big anybody can get. And unless you haven't been eating right, haven't been really training hard, if you've been training, eating well, and using gear for 10 years, 15 years, you're probably about as big as you're ever going to get. But Patrick's case, I don't think that's the case with Patrick. I still think he's got more time to grow, more room to grow. As far as being Mr. Olympia, who's to say these things? If you had told me 5 years ago Brandon Curry would be Mr. Olympia, I would be like, yeah, right. Because I thought he was done. I thought he was maxed out. But then, 2017, he came back 25 pounds heavier after spending 6 months in Kuwait. He beat Dallas McCarver at the Arnold Classic Australia. Sometimes it's these guys you weren't even thinking about. Like when Ronnie Coleman won the Olympia, nobody expected Ronnie to win his first Olympia in '98. He had been like 8th or 9th or something the year before. Nobody had him as pegged as a future Mr. Olympia. Sometimes it's these guys that pull out from the back of the pack where you just think they're going to be just like a mediocre pro, and they come back drastically improved and they win the Olympia. What else we got? Quentin just needs back. Quentin needs to eat more chicken. Yeah, Quentin is a work in progress. He's a kid. He's 25 years old. I mean, he's made good progress. Don't forget, he turned pro naturally. I'm being real, because he says it. I'm not throwing him under the bus, but he's only been on gear for a couple of years. I don't even know if it's been a full 2 years. He's putting on plenty of size. He's got a big frame to fill out. He's so wide. He's got long limbs too. He's about 6 foot. He's not a small guy. We're not seeing the ultimate version of Quentin Maria. He's going to be much bigger and better in the years to come. Right now, he still needs to fill out. He's not big enough. His condition was not at all where I wanted this, where I personally would have liked to have seen it at New York Pro. I'm sure. I think he's doing Cal. Maybe he'll keep pushing and do Chicago. I think he should do Chicago. I think if he stays on his prep that long, he could be shredded and dry and look nasty in Chicago and pull out a really good placing, maybe even win. Who knows? Patrick should go to Oxygen Gym in Kuwait. It's not for everybody, guy. The idea of like leaving everything and everyone behind, some guys can do it. Some guys will do it. But like Jose Raymond, good friend of mine, he thinks, you're better off in your own environment. A lot of people are, not being in this. It is for us Americans especially, Kuwait is a very, very foreign country. Totally different culture, language, customs. I know all they do is eat, sleep, and train, but for some people, that's not the ideal situation. It's not. They want to be being around their gym and the people who support them, encourage them, people that they've known for a long time. For a lot of people, that's better. They'll make better progress that way. What will happen to Sean Roden? Will be able to compete again, Mr. Olympia? He will be allowed to compete in the Olympia when his legal case is completely settled. As of now, it is not. I haven't heard any progress on it. Obviously, with the COVID and the quarantine and all that, court system is backed up. You can't have juries. You can't really. I don't know how much it slowed down the whole criminal justice system here in the U.S. as far as trials and all that. But his case is still pending, and until his case is fully resolved, they're not going to let him back in to compete. It's just, yeah. So that's the situation with that. What do I think about Antoine Vaillant? Akim Williams is huge and gets shredded. Yeah, Akim's good. I think Antoine has an excellent physique. Probably some of the best legs in bodybuilding today, bar none. Arms are great. I mean, Antoine's got a hell of a physique. He was 7th place in New York Pro, but he was very flat. A fuller Antoine, definitely the condition would have showed better. Everything he would have placed higher had he been fuller. Yeah, exactly. It's so tough. Those of you who have competed at high levels know it's like a little window of time that you want to look your best. It's hard to get that balance of being dry and dehydrated and full at the same time. It's almost impossible. You're asking the body to do something it just does not want to do. Yeah, obviously there are chemicals involved, but even with all the right drugs, it's very hard to nail that perfect condition, that perfect look for that one moment when you're up on stage. Some of these guys will look great when they wake up. By the time they get to stage, they flattened out or spilled over. It's the body once it's at that level of such a low body fat and low water, it can change drastically. It's crazy, but I've seen it. It can change drastically for the better or worse in a matter of something like an hour or two. I know that's insane, but that's exactly the situation with these guys, and that's what they're up against, and their coaches are up against. A really good coach who has worked with this client a few times and knows their body, knows how they respond to different variables, different types of foods, water, diuretics, whatever. They do the best they can, and a lot of times you see them become very successful with peaking an athlete over and over again because they know this person's body and they know how it's going to respond to all those things. I hope they can fix the lighting at pro shows. I mean, will Antoine's posing routine be? Yeah, I think it's up. If it's not up now, I'm pretty sure we did film it. Yeah. Keep an eye out on this channel. You'll see. James Hollingshead. Yeah. Oh, James Hollingshead. Oh, that's awesome to hear he's going to Chicago. James is looking crazy right now. Crazy. So much. The thing with James, I've seen him compete a few times. I just thought he needed to be bigger, rounder, fuller, because I love his physique, and he's done it. If you follow him on Instagram, the Redcon videos on YouTube, that he's in, he's the real deal. James Holling said, I thought he was just doing the Spain show. I'm glad he's doing Chicago. He could win that. He could win that. I'd like to see him win. I like James a lot. Cool dude. He could be. He has a long torso. Yeah, I've seen guys with long torsos do okay though. You know, like I said, obviously structure is one factor, but you know his torso's not that long. I've seen guys with much longer torsos than that. Akim has 1 weak post. Yeah, pixelating. What else? All right, guys. I think we're about done here. Appreciate you guys all sitting around chatting. It's been a blast. We'll do it again. We'll do it again sometime soon. Don't worry. Thanks for being part of this. Love you guys. Appreciate your viewership. Who I think will win the Cali Pro. Need to see the full list. It's not, the list isn't finalized yet, but who was in Cali? We'll see. We'll see. That's it, guys. I'm gonna head out now. Appreciate you guys watching. Talk to you later.